Hello and welcome back to Hannah's Inner Healing channel, the channel dedicated to your inner healing and mental health. My name is Hannah Jerry and I have a background in a Master's of Divinity in Theology. I have a degree in Sociology and Politics, and I have a certificate in trauma counseling. So today, our topic for today is how to know if the trauma you are going through is narcissistic abusive trauma or trauma that you incurred from narcissistic abuse. So today I want to start by defining who a narcissist is. A narcissist is a child who, in fact, narcissists, they are not born like that. Their behavior or their personality, which is distorted, was distorted at childhood. And I agree with Gabor Mate that trauma is not what happens to you. Trauma is how you react to a situation or to something that happened to you. So the narcissistic child could either be the golden child, and if you want to know who a golden child is, please go and watch my video on the dynamics of a narcissistic family, and you'll know a golden child is. So a golden child is a child that was, idealized, a child that didn't have boundaries, a child that could do anything they wanted to do. They were so, idealized by the parents. The people call them spoiled brat. That itself can also cause a narcissist. Or a narcissist could be a child who was parentified, humiliated as a child, abused brutally. The parents, there was no, contact or good relation with the mother. So this can also form a narcissist. And someone who was abused or idealized doesn't mean necessarily they'll become narcissistic, no. But those are some of the reasons or some of the things or some of the conditions that form and make a narcissist, because it's how the child reacts to trauma. So now I'm going to talk about some few things that will help us to understand whether it's the trauma you have is narcissistically induced abuse. So what are some of the characteristics of a narcissistic induced abuse? Number one, you'll have a split personality or mentality. You will find that you're so traumatized to a point that your mind, it's like it has split, or you're not able to think straight. And why does this happen? Is because of the mental fog that comes with narcissistic abuse. I'm going to use an image here to help us explain how you can get a mental fog or a split mentality from relating with a narcissist. So here we have the image of the brain. So the prefrontal cortex, when you are relating with a narcissist, the prefrontal cortex is affected. How? Because once you start relating with a narcissist, and they start mistreating you and abusing you, away from the, after the love bombing stage comes the devaluation and then discard. At the devaluation stage, the abuse starts, the sexual abuse, the verbal abuse, the physical abuse starts, the manipulation starts, all those things. So what happens is the prefrontal cortex shuts down. Then the amygdala, which is the emotional part of the brain, picks up. The amygdala picks up. So now when the amygdala picks up, you become very emotional. You become an emotional person. And then now the hippocampus, which is supposed to create memories, releases cortisol to the body. So when the hippocampus releases cortisol to the body, what happens is your body now starts getting sick because of this acid. Maybe your liver, you get ulcers, you get so many sicknesses from that, and the body generally is tired. That's why now when you relate with a narcissist, you start getting tired mentally and physically. Even something simple like picking up keys feels like it's something that you're just climbing a hill. You become confused, and that's how you acquire split personality. In my other video, my previous video, I did a topic on how relating with a narcissist induces a split personality disorder. And because the narcissist, there's something called the shared fantasy. And if I can encourage you to watch Professor Sam Vaknin, Professor Sam Vaknin, he's done a very an outstanding work about narcissism, psychopathy, and all that. And he explained narcissism from the point of view of the shared fantasy, how the narcissist brings you into his life, and he creates or she creates a shared fantasy with you. So when that is happening, because they don't have a self, remember I talked about the narcissist being a child who an individual who was abused as growing up. So what happens? A shell came over the individual shell, like something like a shell. So this person never matured. This person never had the ability even to reflect or to be themselves, or to grow, to function like a normal adult. So they had arrested development. So what happens is now, when an narcissist comes into your life, they come and colonize your mind. And you can also watch Professor Sam Vaknin's video on how your mind is colonized during the shared fantasy. So they start, they start manipulating you. And also, don't forget, narcissism is spiritual. There are evil spirits that are involved with narcissists. A narcissist, even who is religious or saying they are Christian, they still have demonic influences with them. People don't believe that you can be so-called born again or nini, but you have demonic influences in your life, that you have demonic spirits in your life. It happens. I've seen it happening, and I've seen people get delivered. So what happens is, because of the spirits involved in it, Jezebel being one of them, the octopus spirit, there's the spirit, the religious spirit, there's the spirit of lying, and all those kinds of things, because narcissists are liars and manipulations also. So that's so spirits now starts from this person, starts now affecting your mind. Your mind starts getting colonized. So now you start seeing things from the narcissist view. You forget yourself. If you were this kind of person who was outgoing, happy, and all this because of the abuse and the discard, now you start being depressed. We used to have your own personality. Now you are here. You have to be told everything by a narcissist as a child, because they also manipulate you. They also, they also take over your persona, even your thinking. So now you start thinking like the narcissist. When they start berating you, the serpent voice, like Professor Sam Vaknin calls it, I believe it's a demonic voice, now starts controlling you. If a narcissist says you're stupid, you start believing you're stupid. If a narcissist starts berating you, belittling you, manipulating you, because of the shared fantasy, you start seeing yourself in the eyes of a narcissist. And that's why Professor Sam Vaknin advocates that the first step, and I agree with him, that you should take when you leave or you separate with a narcissist, be it a friend, be it a parent, be it a co-worker, whoever it is. When you separate with a narcissist, you have first of all to silence that critical, judgmental, harsh voice from the narcissist. Silence it first, and then now that's when you can do other interventions like going for counseling, because you have to disconnect the soul tie. The soul tie, you have to disconnect it. Soul tie of the mind, body, spirit, and soul. And then come to a point where you start healing, going for counseling, and then you start, self-love. You start seeing yourself differently. You start now, reparenting yourself, because someone came into your life and they started treating you like a child. You start reparenting yourself, or you are made by the narcissist. Can react two ways with you. They can either infantilize you, or they can also parentify you, where they want you to play the role of a parent in their life. And when you watch Professor Sam Vaknin's shared fantasy video, you'll understand how they parentify you because of what happened to them in childhood. So they start, if you are in their life, you're relating with them, relating with you and having the dynamics with you like the ones they had with the abusive parent. And that's why the discard and devaluations comes in. So that's how, when you have a split mental mind because of this shared fantasy, because of how you merged with the narcissist. Number two, I talked about the serpent voice. You have a berating, belittling, harsh, critical, judgmental voice that comes from the shared fantasy. And then you also, if you want to know that your trauma could be narcissistically induced trauma, that mental illness can come. You can get a schizophrenia. People have gone to mental illness hospitals or clinics, after relating with narcissists, either at the workplace or even in marriage, they lost their mind. Why again? My video again, you remember the video I talked about how the narcissist can come in as a bully or as a child. So it confuses you because sometimes they are bullying you, sometimes they are crying like a child. Because of that dichotomy and confusion, it can cause you to have a mental breakdown or a mental illness. Like what I talked about, the prefrontal lobe shutting down and everything. And then another thing, if you want to know, trauma is induced by narcissistic abuse. You lose your identity. You used to be this person who was confident. You used to be this adult. You used to be this person who loved. You had hobbies that you had. But now after relating with a narcissist, all that is gone. Why? Because they had colonized your mind. They had colonized you. You are not yourself. The self was suppressed. The self, this is the self, was suppressed by the narcissist. The self was suppressed by the narcissist. So what happens is, when your self is suppressed by the narcissist, you cannot be yourself. You cannot act like yourself. You cannot, you have a pseudo personality. You develop a pseudo personality because you've lost your identity. And then you lose trust. You don't trust people easily anymore. You used to trust people because you've been lied to. Let me tell you, all the stages of a narcissistic abuse, there is, where there's love bombing, devaluation, and the discard. So in the love bombing stage, that's where the narcissist, whoever they are, it could be a friend, a co-worker, a sibling, whoever, they will be treating you well. They'll be, giving you gifts and everything. The devaluation starts when you are not meeting, because everything about a narcissist is calculated. Everything about a narcissist is to meet a specific need in a narcissist. So it's not about you, it's all about them. So the love bombing, they're giving you things so that they can now penetrate your world. They can be able to manipulate themselves into your life. And then now comes the devaluation, when you say no. For a narcissist, for you to say no to a narcissist, the narcissist takes it like you've rejected them. And they hate being rejected or ignored. So if you start having boundaries, saying no, the devaluation will start coming. They will start now mistreating you and treating you very badly. And you will not believe they are the same people who are love bombing you. That sweet person you thought is good, that covert narcissist, just say no to them, and then the true colors will come out. And then now in the devaluation is when they can call you names, they can trap you. Another thing, when you relate with a narcissist, and I'm going to talk about traps, they can trap you into things like to act like the victim. So they can trap you into abusing them because they keep it's like the way you can keep inflicting a wound in someone, or to keep someone wants you to abuse them. So they want you to do things to you that cause you to be agitated. So they're just provoking you. Now what will happen is, you might end up beating them, and then guess what? When the police come, you'll be the one who's arrested. So they have trapped you to be the abuser. And I'm going to talk about the traps that a narcissist traps for you. And then the discard is when now they either discard you or you discard them. And they hate it when you discard them. They prefer to discard you. So what are the traps that you experience when you're dealing with a narcissist? First of all, when a narcissist comes into your life, both covert and overt, they study your weaknesses and triggers. They study you, and they know your weakness and triggers. And then what they do is they weaponize your reactions to the abuse. Let's say, for example, they keep insulting you. And then you, when you react, they weaponize it against you and start saying, maybe it's a covert wife or it's a malignant lover. Oh, but I beat them because they answered me back. But why did you answer them back? Because they provoked you, So they start setting you up for that. Another way they can also set you up, can put traps for you, is having flying monkeys. They can have alibis who can come and say, yeah, this person is the abuser. This person is the one provoking this person. Flying monkeys to take up their case, their cause. And the flying monkeys are also used when they are devaluing you, or they are going around spreading your name. It's called character assassination. where they're assassinating your character. And then they isolate you from your friends and family so that you're alone. As you're being abused, you're alone with them in that shared fantasy. So I normally tell people one thing: check people's behaviors and not words. Word talks are cheap. Don't start saying, especially be careful with people who are always the victim. In every situation, they are the victim. Those are covert narcissists. And covert narcissists are very dangerous. Professor Sam Vaknin calls them the collapsed narcissists. They are very manipulative. Oh, this person did this. They are usually the victims in a situation. But funny enough, you realize they are the ones who provoke. I once had a covert narcissistic neighbor who, when you'd say no to her during the day, at night she's banging doors, she's doing all manner of things to irritate you. So, and people would think this is a saved or elderly woman who, is supposed to be respected in society. But she was someone who was provoking. She could provoke you. In fact, she had even gotten into physical fights with her daughter because of her constant provocation. So she was trying that with me. But of course, I had put boundaries and I had to face her off. So one day, when all these provocations were too much, and you're not supposed to be emotional with a narcissist, but you're human. Sometimes you even forget. So I banged her. I knocked at her door and I said, "You're much older than me. I'm trying to respect you. We share a thin wall." And I told her that's why we need to understand each other and everything. So when I had gone and then we reported the matter to the landlord, she pretended to be the victim. Oh, she came to attack me, and I went to talk to her. And so she ended up being the victim. So I realized I'm playing, this is a game that I'm playing, that I'm maybe meant to play without knowing. The best thing was for me to move out, and I found my peace. So they have a way also, they try to show themselves as these pious people to manipulate who they are behind the mask. Every narcissistic person has a mask. And then the core of a narcissist is anger, envy, and hatred. So everything they do, when they're giving you things, when they're talking to you, it's normally not coming from a heart of love or from a good place. The motive behind it is to get you to fulfill their needs, to be supply. Because they get fulfilled when people give them emotional supply, because they don't have a self. So they're trying to get emotions and emotional reactions from you. Either mostly they want good praise, admiration, validation, because they are not able to validate themselves, they're not able to love themselves. So they want that from others. But if that is positive affirmations are not coming, or positive supply, they don't mind having negative supply, like you hating them, you abusing them. All that is supply for a narcissist. And that's why they trap you, even to make you angry, to react. Your reaction, any kind of reaction, is supply for a narcissist. And then growing up in abusive homes, like a narcissistic home, they set you up for abuse and pain. You know why? Because you have maybe CPST, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. CPTSD. CPTSD is trauma that cannot be attributed to a specific event in your life because of you abuse so much. So it can manifest in the body as tiredness, sicknesses, mental fog. So when you have this kind of thing in your senses, you're not able to discern very well in your spirit and in your mind. So what happens is, because you're not able to discern people well, and because your mind is used to abusive environments, you can end up finding yourself with a narcissist because your guard is already low. So what I can advise, heal. If you know you went through an abusive childhood, or you were sexually molested as a child, you were abused as a child in any way, if you never healed, please go back to the process of healing. And we normally do that for people. You can see our email just on the link below, and you can text me if you would want to go through healing, inner healing. So just go through the years that were formative years growing up, or your years growing up, and now start telling God to remind you any abuse that happened as a child that makes you react in ways your inner child is wounded. So it causes you to react in childish ways, or it sabotages you as an adult. And you can check one of my videos that I've done, how your childhood affects your adulthood. And then now, the brain is used to abusive environment. I normally like to use Jabez. Jabez said, "Oh, that you bless me indeed, that you might enlarge my territory, that your hand will be upon me, that I might not suffer or cause pain." Because you can be suffering pain because of your childhood or because of how you grew up. And you can also be giving out pain also, because hurting people hurt others. What I can tell you, there is nothing good that comes from relating with a narcissist or psychopaths or sociopaths. Even if you love them unconditionally, loving them too much cannot change them. And the only thing that will happen to you is this process. Anytime you come across such mentally disturbed people, this is the process you're going to go through. And I'm telling you, the pain you incur when you relate with a narcissist is worse than even the pain of the loss of a loved one. It's worse than even the pain of divorce. Because they abuse you, the abuse is so extreme, and many people will not understand, because even in Africa, even or other places, people don't know about narcissistic abuse, maybe at a larger scale. So people will not understand what you're going through. They'll be like, "Why don't you just move on, get on?" But they don't know the pain that is involved by relating with a narcissist. First of all, like I talked about and I said, you can be the one, the charts can be flipped to look like you are the aggressor and you're the victim. It's very painful to be denied to feel like you've been denied justice, and to feel like the narcissist has gotten away with what they did to you. It feels very painful. It feels very bad. And that's why you have to trust God and His goodness, because He's a just God to carry out justice for you. And what I advise people, please don't keep following up on what them flying monkeys, because the narcissists, they enjoy seeing you in pain. Don't follow up on the flying monkeys, people who are being sent by the narcissist, or people who are listening to what the narcissist is saying about you to come and tell you. Such people are also dangerous. They are enablers. Cut them off. Don't want to know what the narcissist is saying about you. Because they never accept responsibility. And the reason why narcissists don't accept responsibility is because deep within themselves, they are deeply wounded people. So when they accept responsibility, they'll feel like they're bad people, because they already feel they are bad people. So by them saying sorry, they'll have to accept they are bad people, and they're not willing to look within. So they'll want to always focus on it's this person. They don't want to own their mistakes. And one thing I'm learning also in life, put your needs, prioritize your needs. You say, some people normally say that when you prioritize your needs, you're selfish. No, selfishness is where you get your needs, or you want your needs supplied at the expense of other people, at the expense of using other people. That is what selfishness is. But by you prioritizing your needs does not make you selfish. Your needs are not being met at the expense of others. Prioritize your needs. Why? Because the narcissists and other abusive people out here, they have no problem prioritizing themselves in your life. So if you're someone who doesn't know how to prioritize your needs, you will find yourself catering for the needs of the narcissist. Catering for the needs of the narcissist and not your own. Another thing is, always, before when you meet someone, please do a thorough background check on them. Do a thorough background check on that person. Do not ever in your lifetime just meet people online and everything and you've not done a thorough background on them. Tell God to give you discernment and to show you who that person is. Don't be casual about how you interact with people. Don't just meet people and you're already telling them about your stories. Narcissists, some of them, when they meet you, they tell you about their story so that they can cause you to open up. Or some of them will want to listen and they will use that information against you. When you do wrong or you do evil to them, they'll say, "No wonder your mother doesn't like you." Such hurtful things. So be careful who you share your story with in an intimate way. And also, don't take people's words check behavior, not words. Words are cheap. Words are cheap. So there's something I'm going to read. Sorry, let me just use this. Sorry. There's something I want to read that I saw on the internet, and it really encouraged me. It really, I wish everybody could have such values on themselves. When you grow up in an abusive home, or in homes where parents are not teaching you on how to relate interpersonal skills with people, or how to value yourself, it causes you to be set up for abuse. So the first one I said, I could have listened to your intuition more. Have better boundaries with people. Have higher standards for yourself. Walk away the first time someone abuses you. Don't stay there. Speak up for your inner child. Don't always just, let people just walk over you. Speak up for yourself. Learn to speak up for yourself. Make your needs a priority. You're an adult. Make your needs a priority. Own and live out your values. Own and live out your values. You see all these things that I'm telling you to do. All these precautions I'm telling you. When you do them and you have strong boundaries, you know how far people can come. The narcissist will not be attracted to you, because the narcissist is looking for people who need validation, for people who don't know who they are, or for people who don't have strong boundaries so that they can abuse you. Thank you so much for watching. So the next topic we're going to discuss on how you can be able to, individuate and heal from narcissistic abuse. Thank you so much.